boys right now sit with clenched cheeks as Bitcoin attempts to cement its bullish weekly cross that we received last week. But are the bears really about to be completely banked? Or is something bigger about to happen? You know what they say, it's always quietest before the bust. As the momentum for Bitcoin has quietly shifted from short-term bearish to potentially short-term giga bullish, things are getting big. But what if I told you that what you're about to see at the end of this video is really big? So if you understand that selling your crypto before the biggest bull run since the beginning of mankind is probably not the best move, hit that like, hit that subscribe, get sent up to FEMEX or BINGX below if you want Bitcoin or altcoins. Without any further ado, let's dump on in, where we see Bitcoin right now, along with the stock market, having a little itsy-bitsy dippy today, where last week was completely ginormous. We got the bullish cross on the daily chart for Bitcoin, which we've been waiting for a while to receive ever since, bullish cross, ever since receiving this bearish cross back on April 18th, well over a month ago. We began forming this inverse head and shoulders pattern. We broke out of it. We have, potentially are going to see either a retest of these moving averages, which we haven't seen yet, or the neckline. Overall, though, things are shifting incredibly bullish, and I want to highlight a few things before we continue with just those charts. So we see that today, the U.S. Treasury will initiate a buyback program beginning May 29th. About $2 billion will flow into the economy every week. Fresh liquidity will enter the market, which is very bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. A lot of people understand at this point that, maybe it's not even necessarily the halvings that have been causing giga bullishness, but the liquidity cycle. Because the liquidity cycle and the Bitcoin halving so far have been basically timed perfectly together every 4 years. So if we're about to see a massive influx of liquidity, Bitcoin has historically always benefited from that. I think that we're just in a really good spot if we look forward for the next 6 or so months. This is still, it's kind of mind blowing. We're still setting up for the basically perfect storm for crypto. Again, if you would rewind 1 year and then kind of just show me everything that has happened so far, I would say unbelievable. This is like everything is aligning so well, and there's no guarantee that things will continue to align this well. But honestly, at this point, it's been absolutely insane how well things have aligned, and it gives us the opportunity to truly have this bull market that I think to some people at this point almost seems like fantasy. It almost seems like a little fairy tale where, engagement's still low. People are not really joining crypto. It's still me and the same people that are around. It's all the same people that have been around for years and years that, make sure to basically follow along with this space very closely, regardless of a bull or bear market, right? You're paying attention if it's bullish and if it's bearish. And there's not really a lot of new people joining. And we're not anywhere close to euphoria. Absolutely not. This will be like my third Bitcoin bull market. This is quite literally it's the most underwhelming sentiment I've ever seen when the price has looked this good, right? When we have broken new all-time highs even before the halving. This is the least euphoric, the least frenzy, the least absolutely bananas I've ever seen people when we are looking so good and the setup is so good. And to me, that just makes me more bullish, because if everybody on the planet was just screaming, go buy Bitcoin, even people that 2 months ago weren't, right? If there were a bunch of new people joining and people were shouting from the rooftops, wow, this is going to be the next big thing, and everybody, including, Johnny and Jimmy down the street were talking about it, that would have me worried. But that is literally the opposite of what's happening. Essentially, nobody cares. I mean, I care. Again, I say this a lot. I care, a lot of you care, but like so many people just have written off crypto because of FTX and everything that happened at the height of the last cycle. And I think that is going to give us the potential to have a much more moonish, much more busty, much more, maybe reach around, a sneaky, surprising bull market that otherwise might not have been possible. I think that if we really want to experience something completely mind-blowing and portfolio-changing, life-changing in terms of gains, we need to have people sleeping on crypto. And most people are sleeping on it. Absolutely. We also see that the new healthcare company, Semler Scientific stock, rises over 30% after adopting the Bitcoin as a primary treasury asset. We are continuing to see this happen. This is just one tiny, eensy-weensy, teensy little piece but it's happening day by day. And, it's very important. We see also, which I think is huge, because again, this is something I've been talking about a lot in the videos that I post only every couple days now, because it's honestly pretty boring. But one thing I've been talking about is how lagging the entire altcoin space has been, especially the top 10, top 20 alts. Absolutely, a lot of coins have gone up a lot in the last year, but overall, altcoins have not been stealing the show. For example, this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Bitcoin dominance is as high as it's been in basically the last 2 years, right? Bitcoin dominance has been on an uptrend, meaning altcoins have not been performing well against Bitcoin. This is what an alt season looks like, right? This is what alt season looks like. This is alt season. We are about to have one of those. Mustache El Crypto Prof on Twitter. El Crypto Mustard. Oh my gosh. Mustard on Twitter says that we haven't often seen a bearish MACD cross on the 3-week for Bitcoin dominance. But when it has happened, it has predicted the biggest altcoin seasons in crypto history so far. Again, we only have a few seasons to look at, right? This only goes back about 8 or so years. But it predicted the biggest altcoin seasons. The next bearish cross is imminent, another major signal for altcoins. And if we look at this chart, you can see right here that these crosses, when this MACD loses momentum and Bitcoin dominance starts to drop, that is when the mega giga alt season begins. And I think absolutely that is exactly what I think is going to be happening very, very soon. Not by tomorrow. I think Bitcoin honestly might have one more sneaky. I think Bitcoin has a lot more room to go up, honestly, also. Remember, my biggest holding in crypto is Bitcoin. So I like when Bitcoin goes up. I just think that altcoin season is very long overdue. I think it's going to be violently pumpy when we actually get it. I think we're going to have a massive bust in terms of altcoins when we actually get alt season. But I just want to say, we have not seen any alt season yet. This is the last alt season we had. And it basically went from January 2021 until about the middle of 2021. And, especially towards the end, there was a couple months here and there, but the true alt season was in a 6-month period here, massive gains. And we have simply only for the past 2 years basically seen Bitcoin dominance going up. And that's going to change. We see the MACD is telling us that it's going to change. Okay, the longer time frame you're looking at, the more reliable it is. This is a 1-month chart. To me, this is relatively important to be watching. Absolutely not something I would want to dismiss. We're seeing the DXY still continue its downtrend. I think the DXY has topped out in general. I think that for the next 6 or so months, it's very clear that if you're bullish on the DXY, it doesn't really make sense because all of the factors that contribute to the DXY going up are not really predicted to be occurring. I think that the DXY has basically seen its best bustiness, and it had a pretty good run, right? All the way the end of 2023, December 2023 up here, had a really nice run in earlier 2023, but I think that we're ultimately going to be seeing lower lows for the DXY over the next 6 or so months. We also see the weekly chart for Bitcoin. Again, this is a really good looking chart in my opinion. Weekly chart, again, we've shifted into this MACD bearishness a couple of weeks ago, but that quickly can be completely eradicated, just like I've mentioned many times, in these bull cycles, just like back here in September, October of 2020, when it was kind of like a fake out and we just rocketed past those all-time highs. Kind of similar to where we're at right now. We're kind of sitting right at those all-time highs, and I think we're going to be rocketing past it soon. That's on the weekly chart. Daily chart for Bitcoin as well. We have support below us massively around 65,000. 21 and 50-day moving averages looks amazing. If we get a pullback there, hey, anything above 65,000 is giga bullish in my book, short term. And overall, we're still just kind of cementing support, giving us, as I've said before the biggest moves, the market often, in terms of sentiment, gets incredibly boring, and people just lose interest. And we're still seeing that. Look at numbers, everything, engagement. People are still pretty uninterested, very disinterested in this market. And that is exactly where you want to be before you expect those really, really, really big moves. Daily chart for Bitcoin as well. Honestly, it doesn't look bad. If we continue to pull back for a day or two, a week, none of this is substantially bearish. I just think we're on the cusp of initiating the biggest bullish long-term And again, I think over the next 6 months, there's going to be so much money to be made in this market, and the most of it is going to be made. Okay, if you missed this whole run up, right, beginning at the very beginning of 2023 until now, so for the past year and a half, the past 18 months, if you miss that, that sucks, right? It's not great if you wanted to be making money. It sucks to miss that. But the craziest part is I don't think, like, if you really want to be able to maybe get in for a couple months and have that life-changing crazy amount of gains, that still is a massive opportunity that we have not quite seen. We've seen memes do insanely well, some AI coins, right? Render is one of my biggest holds. Render has been doing pretty well. It's kind of been flat actually for the past couple of weeks, but in general, it's looking really, really good. I mean, look at that chart when you zoom out in this top right corner. Looks really good, and it's been doing really well, and I think it's going to continue doing really well. But overall, I think that you still have massive opportunity. You absolutely do not have maximum opportunity. You absolutely have missed out on gains if you have no crypto right now, or you haven't ever in your life and you're buying in for the first time today. Absolutely. You are not going to experience the full gains of a bull market, and that's okay, right? You don't have to experience the full bull market to be able to benefit, but you still have a really good opportunity for this phase of a bull market. This absolute vertical, only a couple of month period, where you do not want to miss this couple of month period right here, where even, we can look at the last bull market or even the one before that. There's a couple of months where, yes, these are gains, pumps and dumps, but overall the trend is up. But then there is a point where things just go straight up, okay? Straight up only, basically. Same thing happened back here in the previous bull market, bear to bull. This overall was an uptrend. This was a lot more shaky because of everything that happened, but overall, this was an uptrend with a lot of ups and downs. And then the most vertical part was right there. Same thing here. This has honestly been a pretty good bull market so far, but it's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of sideways. And soon, right, I fully expect what's going to be happening is that last phase, which is going to be completely banana mode. And that's the part you don't want to miss. And luckily, you haven't yet. Now, if you come to my channel in 6 months from now and say that, let's say that we're up here, let's say Bitcoin hit $200,000, let's say the chart went like this, or let's say it went like this, okay? I'm going to be honest. I am not going to be saying this isn't the time to be insanely bullish. This is the time to go all in. I am not going to be saying that. It's completely ridiculous because pretty much all evidence, all historical data, everything at that point should be telling you, hey, we just went up a lot. This probably isn't going to continue for much longer. Okay. But again, luckily, if you're watching this video right now, then luckily you're in a place where, hey, you can make a lot of gains in a short amount of time and capitalize on a potentially massive bull market where for the first time in history, it's more adopted than ever. It's going to become mainstream, in my opinion, in the next year, in a positive way. Whereas it became mainstream a couple of years ago, more so in a negative light. And get signed up to BINGX or BINGX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Without any further ado, that's it for me.